There was a time when the toughest trucks on American highways didn't have a long hood out front. The engine sat right underneath the driver, the cab tilted forward for maintenance, and these flat-faced machines hauled everything this country needed. They were engineering marvels. Some ran on jet fuel, some were built from aircraft aluminum, and one was designed by the same guy who styled the Corvette. Then regulations changed, and almost overnight, they vanished. These are 10 forgotten Cabover trucks that were absolutely brilliant. Number 1. The Kenworth K100. Let's start with a truck that was once one of the most recognizable cabovers on American highways. The Kenworth K100. Kenworth is known today for their long-nosed conventionals, but for decades the K100 was just as important to their lineup. Introduced in the early 1960s, the K100 remained in production into the mid-1990s, over 30 years, which tells you how good it was. It was a Class 8 heavy-duty cabover designed for long-haul freight. The cab sat high above the engine and tilted forward hydraulically for full powertrain access. Engines were typically Cummins or Caterpillar diesels, paired with Fuller transmissions and heavy-duty rear axles. What set the K100 apart was its build quality. Kenworth used an aluminum cab structure which reduced weight and resisted corrosion far better than the steel cabs most competitors offered. The fit and finish was a step above, with better insulation, tighter door seals, and an interior that was genuinely comfortable for drivers spending weeks on the road. Sleeper configurations ranged from a basic day cab to an extended stand-up sleeper with real living space. The K100 dominated the West Coast, where strict length laws made cabovers essential for maximizing trailer length. Owner-operators loved the Kenworth prestige combined with cabover practicality. Fleet operators appreciated its reliability and strong resale value. Then in 1982, the Surface Transportation Assistance Act allowed longer truck and trailer combinations nationwide. The cabover advantage vanished almost overnight. Drivers shifted to long hood conventionals, the market changed, and Kenworth quietly discontinued the K100 by the mid-1990s. Today, a few surviving K100s are still out there in collections or parked in yards. But on the modern highway, they're essentially extinct. A truck that was once king of the road is now a relic most people under 40 have never even seen. Number 2. The International Emeryville COE. If you've ever heard an old trucker talk about the Emeryville, they're not talking about a city. Well, technically they are, but they're really talking about the International Harvester COE 4000 series, a cabover that was manufactured at IH's plant in Emeryville, California. That plant gave the truck its legendary nickname. Produced from the early 1950s through 1968, the Emeryville was a West Coast favorite. It was designed specifically for the long-haul routes that ran up and down the Pacific coast and across the western states. California had strict length laws at the time, which limited the overall length of a truck and trailer combination. A cabover like the Emeryville solved that problem perfectly because there was no hood sticking out front, so you could pull a longer trailer within the legal limit and haul more freight per trip. The Emeryville was powered by a range of engines, including Cummins diesels and International's own power plants. It had a distinctive tall cab with large wraparound windows that gave the driver excellent visibility. The interior was functional and rugged, designed for drivers who spent days at a time on the road. Many Emeryville trucks were specced with sleeper cabs, which were essentially small living quarters built behind the driver's seat. What made this truck brilliant was its reputation for being nearly indestructible. West Coast truckers ran these things hard through mountain passes, across deserts, and through every kind of weather the Pacific states could throw at them. They kept running. The Emeryville earned a kind of cult following among drivers, and even after International stopped producing them, many stayed in service well into the 1970s. Today, the Emeryville is one of the most sought-after vintage cabovers among collectors, but to the general public, it's almost completely unknown. Number 3. The GMC Cracker Box. Now here's a truck with one of the best nicknames in the entire history of trucking, the GMC Cracker Box. It earned that name because of its shape, a short, boxy, flat-faced cab that looked like a box of crackers sitting on top of the frame rails. GMC produced these cabovers through the 1950s and 1960s, and they were workhorses in every sense of the word. The Cracker Box came in several configurations, from medium-duty models for local delivery to heavy-duty versions rated for long-haul freight. The heavy-duty models, like the DLR 8000, were powered by GMC's own V6 gasoline engines or Detroit diesel two-stroke diesels, the famous screaming jimmies that produced that unmistakable sound that old truckers still remember. The cab design was simple but effective. It tilted forward for engine access, which was a major advantage for maintenance. The driver sat high up with a nearly vertical windshield that provided good forward visibility. The interior was Spartan by modern standards, but it had everything a driver needed and nothing he didn't. What made the Cracker Box brilliant was its versatility. It could be configured for almost any application. Flatbed, tanker, van body, logging truck, you name it. Someone ran a Cracker Box in that role. The two-stroke Detroit diesel engines, while loud and smoky, were incredibly reliable and could be rebuilt in the field with basic tools. That mattered when you were hundreds of miles from the nearest dealership. The Cracker Box faded from the highways as newer, more comfortable cabovers came along in the late 1960s, but for the era in which it served, it was one of the most capable and dependable trucks on the road. Number 4. The Ford C-Series Tilt Cab. Ford's C-Series might be the most successful cabover truck that nobody remembers as a cabover. Introduced in 1957, the C-Series remained in production in various forms all the way until 1990, a remarkable 33-year production run that speaks to how well the design worked. The C-Series was primarily a medium-duty truck, and it became one of the most common commercial vehicles in America during its production life. If you grew up in the 1960s, 1970s, you almost certainly saw these trucks every single day. They were fire trucks, delivery trucks, beverage haulers, moving vans, school bus chassis, garbage trucks, and utility vehicles. The flat-faced tilt cab design gave them a tight turning radius, which made them perfect for urban and suburban routes where maneuverability mattered more than highway speed. The cab tilted forward on a hinge mechanism at the front of the frame, giving mechanics full access to the engine, typically a Ford gasoline V8 or a diesel option in later years. The cab design was updated several times over the decades, with the most significant redesign coming in 1970, when Ford gave it a wider, more modern-looking cab with improved visibility and a more comfortable interior. What made the Ford C-Series brilliant was its sheer practicality. It was affordable to buy, easy to maintain, and could be upfitted for virtually any commercial application. Municipal fleets loved them because parts were cheap and widely available. Fire departments across the country ordered thousands of C-Series chassis for their apparatus. Despite being everywhere for over 3 decades, the Ford C-Series has largely disappeared from public memory. It was a workhorse, not a showpiece, and workhorse trucks rarely get the recognition they deserve. Number 5. The Mack F-Series COE. If you know trucks, you know the Mack Bulldog. But here's something most people don't realize. Mack made one of the finest cabovers ever to roll on American pavement, the F-Series. Introduced in 1962 and produced through 1981, the F-Series was Mack's flagship cabover. It was a Class 8 heavy-duty truck built for over-the-road freight and heavy vocational work. The most common variants were the F700 and F800, built at Mack's facility in Allentown, Pennsylvania. What made the F-Series special was its powertrain. Unlike most competitors who sourced engines externally, Mack built their own. The F-Series ran Mack's ENDT 673 or 675 turbocharged diesel, producing up to 300 horsepower with legendary low-end torque. These engines could run hundreds of thousands of miles without a major overhaul. Paired with Mack's revolutionary Maxidine engine and Maxitorque transmission, the F-Series offered something no other cabover could, a dramatically easier driving experience. The Maxidine system produced strong pulling power across a wide RPM range, meaning drivers could handle most situations in just 5 gears, instead of wrestling with 13 or 15-speed transmissions all day. The cab was functional and distinctly Mack, with a flat face, excellent visibility, and good insulation against noise. Sleeper configurations were available for long-haul operators. The F-Series was especially popular on the East Coast and in the Midwest, where Mack's dealer network was strongest. The truck was discontinued in 1981 as the market shifted away from cabovers after length regulations were relaxed. Mack briefly offered the MH Ultraliner as a successor, but it never earned the same loyalty. Today, the Mack F-Series is revered by vintage truck enthusiasts but completely unknown to the general public. It's been overshadowed by Mack's conventional models, which is a shame. The F-Series was one of the most complete cabovers of its era. Number 6. The Freightliner COE. Original models. Freightliner is one of the biggest names in American trucking today. But most people don't know the brand's origin story, and it starts with a cabover. Freightliner was founded in 1942 by Leland James, who also ran Consolidated Freightways, one of the largest trucking companies in the western United States. James was frustrated with the trucks that were available on the market. They were too heavy, which meant they couldn't carry as much freight, so he decided to build his own. The earliest Freightliner trucks were cabovers, and their key innovation was the extensive use of aluminum. While other manufacturers were building cabs and frames from heavy steel, Freightliner used aluminum for the cab structure, which dramatically reduced the truck's weight. A lighter truck could carry more payload within the legal weight limits, which meant more revenue per trip. For a large fleet operation like Consolidated Freightways, that weight savings translated directly into profit. These early Freightliner cabovers featured aluminum tilt cabs, diesel engines from Cummins and other suppliers, and a focus on practical engineering over flash. They weren't pretty trucks. They were functional, lightweight, and built to work. The cab was designed to tilt forward for engine access, and the interior was designed for drivers who needed durability and visibility, not luxury. Freightliner initially sold these trucks only to its parent fleet, but eventually began selling to other carriers in the 19th. The brand grew rapidly, and by the 1970s, Freightliner had become one of the top truck manufacturers in North America. They were eventually acquired by Daimler AG, but those early aluminum cabovers, the ones that started it all, are almost entirely forgotten. They were groundbreaking in their use of lightweight materials and their focus on maximizing payload capacity. Without them, the Freightliner brand as we know it today would not exist. Number 7. The White Road Commander Co. White Motor Company is a name that has almost vanished from American trucking, and that's a tragedy. Based in Cleveland, Ohio, White built trucks from 1900 through the early 1980s. At their peak, they were one of the big four of American trucking, right alongside Mack, International Harvester, and Freightliner. One of their finest products was the Road Commander Cabover. Produced from the early 1950s through the 1970s, the Road Commander was a Class 8 heavy-duty cabover built for serious over-the-road freight work. It was White's answer to the growing demand for cabovers on the West Coast, designed to compete directly with Kenworth, Peterbilt, and International offerings. The Road Commander featured a distinctive wide flat-faced cab with a large windshield and chrome trim that gave it a handsome professional look. The cab tilted forward for engine access, and underneath sat Cummins or Caterpillar diesels with Fuller or Spicer transmissions. Single or tandem rear axle configurations were available depending on the application. What made the Road Commander brilliant was its balance of solid engineering and competitive pricing. It wasn't quite at Peterbilt's premium level, but it was a clear step above entry-level trucks. The cab was reasonably quiet and well ventilated for its era. Mid-sized trucking companies and owner-operators who wanted capability without a premium price tag gravitated toward it. White also had an enormous dealer network thanks to acquiring Diamond T, Rio, and Autocar over the years, which meant support was available almost anywhere in the country. But White's aggressive acquisitions caught up with them financially. The company filed for bankruptcy in 1980, was acquired by Volvo, and the brand was phased out by the mid-1990s. With White gone, the Road Commander disappeared almost entirely. A handful survive in private collections, but on the road, they are ghosts from a company that shaped American trucking and then vanished from it. Number 8. The Peterbilt 352. Peterbilt is one of the most prestigious names in American trucking. Their long hood conventionals are icons, the trucks that every kid dreamed about driving. But Peterbilt also made cabovers, and the 352 was their flagship cabover model for decades. Introduced in 1950, the Peterbilt 352 was built to the same exacting standards as every other Peterbilt. That meant premium materials, handcrafted cab construction, and attention to detail that went far beyond what most manufacturers offered. Early 352s featured a distinctive rounded cab design that evolved over the years into a more squared-off, modern shape. The 352 was powered by a range of heavy-duty diesel engines, primarily from Cummins and Caterpillar. It was rated for Class 8 service, which meant it could handle the heaviest loads on the road. The cab offered better driver comfort than most cabovers of its era, with features like improved insulation, better seating, and available sleeper compartments for long-haul drivers. What made the Peterbilt 352 brilliant was its combination of cabover efficiency and premium quality. In states with strict overall length laws, particularly on the West Coast, owner-operators who wanted the Peterbilt name but needed a cabover configuration turned to the 352. It gave them the maneuverability and trailer length advantages of a cabover with the build quality and resale value that the Peterbilt badge commanded. The 352 was eventually replaced by the Peterbilt 362 in the mid-1980s, and after federal regulations changed to allow longer truck and trailer combinations in 1982, the demand for cabovers declined across the industry. The 352, once a common sight on Western highways, gradually vanished. Today it's remembered by trucking enthusiasts but virtually unknown to the general public. Number 9. The Marmon COE. Here's a name that even most truck enthusiasts struggle to place. Marmon Motor Company, based in Denton, Texas, built heavy-duty Class 8 trucks from the early 1960s through 1997. They were a small, independent manufacturer in an industry increasingly dominated by giants, and their cabover models were among the toughest trucks you could buy. Marmon specialized in severe service and heavy-haul applications. Their cabovers were designed for customers who needed a truck that could handle extreme weight and brutal operating conditions. Think oil field work, heavy construction, and specialized hauling. The trucks were built with beefy frames, heavy-duty axle ratings, and the kind of over-engineered construction that made them popular with operators who pushed equipment to its absolute limits. Under the tilting cab, Marmon cabovers could be spec'd with Cummins, Caterpillar, or Detroit diesel engines paired with heavy-duty Fuller transmissions. Like many smaller manufacturers, Marmon offered a high degree of customization. Buyers could essentially build a truck to their exact specifications, choosing components tailored to their specific application. That flexibility was something the big-volume manufacturers couldn't always match. What made the Marmon COE brilliant was its niche focus. Marmon never tried to outsell Freightliner or Peterbilt on volume. They carved out a space serving customers who needed something tougher and more specialized than the mainstream offerings. In the oilfield regions of Texas and the heavy-haul corridors of the South, Marmon trucks earned a fierce reputation for durability. Marmon ceased production in 1997, unable to sustain operations against the consolidation sweeping the truck industry. With the company gone, parts became scarce and survivors grew increasingly rare. Today, a Marmon cabover is one of the rarest sights in vintage trucking, a Texas-built workhorse that served the toughest industries in America and then quietly disappeared. Number 10. The Ford Cell 9000. Ford dominated the medium-duty cabover market with the C-Series we talked about earlier. But in the late 1970s, Ford went after a much bigger prize, the Class 8 heavy-duty over-the-road market, with a truck called the CL 9000. Introduced in 1979, the CL 9000 was Ford's bid to compete directly with Peterbilt, Kenworth, and Freightliner in the long-haul cabover segment. This was a completely different animal from the C-Series. It was a full-sized, heavy-duty cabover designed for transcontinental freight hauling, and Ford invested heavily in making it competitive with the established players. The CL 9000 featured a wide aerodynamic cab that was one of the most modern-looking designs on the highway when it debuted. The cab tilted forward hydraulically for engine access, and underneath sat Cummins or Caterpillar diesel engines, producing up to 450 horsepower, serious power for the era. The truck was spec'd with heavy-duty transmissions from Fuller and rear axles from Rockwell, and it was rated for gross combination weights that put it squarely in the same class as the Peterbilt 352 and the Kenworth K100. What made the CL 9000 brilliant was Ford's approach to driver comfort. Ford studied what long-haul drivers actually needed and designed the cab accordingly. The interior was wider than many competing cabovers, the dashboard layout was more ergonomic, and the available sleeper compartments were genuinely livable for drivers spending weeks on the road. Ford also focused on reducing cab noise and vibration, which had always been the cabover's biggest disadvantage compared to conventional trucks. But the CL9000 arrived at exactly the wrong moment. Ford launched it just 3 years before the 1982 federal length law changes that eliminated the cabover's primary advantage. Suddenly, truckers could run long hood conventionals with full-length trailers in all 50 states, and almost everyone did. The demand for Class 8 cabovers cratered, and Ford pulled the CL9000 from production by the mid-1980s. Ford eventually exited the heavy-duty truck market entirely, selling that division to what became Sterling Trucks, which was later absorbed by Daimler. The CL9000 never got a fair chance. It was a genuinely excellent truck that debuted into a market that was about to disappear. Today, very few survive. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which of these forgotten cabovers is your favorite. And if you've ever driven one of these trucks, we would love to hear your stories. See you in the next one.